Okay, well, welcome in. My name is Katie, and I'm a senior in WSU's Nutrition and Exercise Physiology program. How's your day been going?
It's been good.
Good.
Yeah, the weather is not my favorite.
I was gonna say,
And apparently it's supposed to start snowing this week, so I'm definitely not prepared for
it's
that.
like second winter this go around.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, the snow at my house is pretty bad, and I know you live in Idaho, so I was wondering if the snow was even worse there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
couple inches,
Ah.
so.
Yeah, not fun, especially because I'm not a fan of the cold. I'm more into the warmer weather, but yeah. Okay, so for today's session, I'm gonna kind of go over a quick review of your personal information. I know I had some stuff before you came in, but I just want to kind of get some clarification on some stuff, and then I'll jump into kind of overview of your medical history as well as family history, and then I have a couple questions with that stuff as well, and then we'll move into kind of nutrition and counseling stuff. Yeah. Okay. So just to make sure that my information here is right. So 74-year-old. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And then my understanding you are a member of the Nez Perce tribe.
Yes, I am.
Perfect. I don't know if you're active now. Were you ever kind of active with that kind of stuff, like tribal?
In the tribe?
Yeah. Did you ever go
not
to powwows or
much.
any community?
No, I haven't, but I definitely want to start being more active in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not really immersed in
Yeah.
it. I haven't really had the motivation to do much lately.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And side note, if you see me taking notes, I'm just making sure I'm getting
That's
your
totally
right
fine.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do whatever you gotta do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then you do live a little bit outside of Lapawai,
Yes,
right?
I
Yes,
do.
okay, perfect. And how long have you lived there?
I lived here for about 30 years now.
Perfect. Okay, and so you are retired, yes? Okay, perfect. And then I saw a note that your neighbor gives you rides to the grocery store. So are you close with that neighbor?
Yeah, he's pretty much the only one that we're really close with. Yeah, so he does give me rides to go to the grocery store once a month, and we'll kind of just stock up on frozen and shelf stable items.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, produce is pretty expensive, so.
I totally understand that. Yeah. Outside of your neighbor giving you guys rides, do you ever hang out with them or go to each other's houses or have a relationship like that?
No, it'll be a few brief conversations here and there, but nothing really we'll go to their house and they'll come to ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they're very nice people, and yeah.
Yeah, they seem so. Yeah. That's always nice to have neighbors that you can kind of rely on for help and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like that. Okay, and so I did also notice that you live with your wife and then your 3 grandkids as well. And so how is it being home with kids all day?
Tiring.
Yeah.
I don't really have much energy to handle their energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually we'll have them play outside and stuff.
And that's nice too that you kind of live in an area where it's safer for them to kind of be out in the yard and stuff.
Yeah, and so my wife will watch them and just on the porch.
Yeah. And do you feel like you struggle to help take care of the kids or play with them at all?
Yeah, just recently I haven't I'm kind of just in pain. Not really want to move much. Before I used to actively I would walk for a mile or 2 a day, and now I'm just kind of just sitting around.
Yeah, that definitely would make it more difficult to kind of be more engaging and be more active. Okay. And then I also saw that you used to smoke but has since quit. So good job for quitting. That's
Thank
not
you.
always easy.
Thank
Have
so
you
much.
have you noticed any difference in your health since quitting?
Not really. I haven't really paid
Yeah.
attention to that. Um, yeah, not really.
Especially
much
since I
in
did also see you have chronic bronchitis, so
I do.
COPD.
So that
Yeah,
does
and so
really
that kind of
affect my eating
mm-hmm.
habits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
No, yeah, I completely understand that. And then I also saw that you have recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been since being diagnosed? Have you felt about that?
It's kind of scary. I don't
Yeah.
really know what my next step would be,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Perfect.
But, so I did get my butt here.
Yes. Step one, perfect.
Yes. But yeah, it's kind of scary to just like think about.
It
And I don't
is.
really know how to approach it.
It is, yeah. Well, especially because it can be daunting. Like,
Mhm.
you're all of a sudden having to make a bunch of lifestyle changes to kind of better help with your diabetes. So yeah,
Mhm.
if you haven't been given the opportunity to come in and get some kind of education on that, yeah, that could definitely feel scary. So have you made any adjustments to your lifestyle other than the medication you've been put on?
Any adjustments, as in like diet or just like
Yeah,
being active? Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that it would be difficult too, I guess, if you
Yeah,
haven't had
like,
a lot of education on it.
Yeah, we're kind of on the tighter end of money, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just
Totally understandable.
we know the like importance of getting in like vegetables, and we
Mhm.
do try to at least 3 to 4 times
Yeah.
a week, but that would be like canned vegetables.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we can afford.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I ask is because
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. And then I also saw that you mentioned you've been losing 2 to 4 pounds a month unintentionally. I just want to make sure, have you noticed kind of any shift in your lifestyle that kind of correlates with kind of the start of when all that happened?
I think it was just just feeling very fatigued and
Mhm.
weak, and that really played into like my activity
Yeah.
levels, what I do on a daily basis. That's changed dramatically. I think also just not feeling very hungry.
Yeah.
So my caloric intake, or what I eat in a day, it's kind of been cut in
Yeah,
half.
see, and that kind of stuff kind of, I feel like, snowballs too. So if you're feeling pretty fatigued, you don't really have the energy to eat a whole lot, and because you're not moving as much, you don't feel, I guess, as you feel like I don't know, like you're not as hungry because you haven't been doing as much, and so it kind of snowballs. But yeah, we can definitely get into that in the nutrition education.
Yeah, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say about
Absolutely.
it and all the education.
And then kind of going back to your tribal stuff, I know you mentioned that you not super immersed. Are you familiar with any of the kind of benefit programs that they do for the tribe at all?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
definitely get into that because yeah, there's some really good resources that they have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
to more social information.
Okay, and so just kind of doing a health review. So, type 2 diabetes, also been diagnosed with hypertension, hypercholesterolemia. You also mentioned kind of struggling with back pain a little bit. Yeah, and then also your COPD. And then your intermittent claudication, has that been bothering you a lot lately too?
Yeah, that's why I haven't really been.
Yeah, that would make it
Not-
difficult.
Yeah, so I can really only stand or like walk around for like 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes on end before it starts getting a little painful.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take a seat, and so I try to avoid that pain, so that's why I'm always sitting down.
Yeah.
But I know the importance of movement, so.
I've heard it's super painful, so yeah, that would be difficult to want to kind of force yourself to get up and get walking if it hurts. And then you also mentioned severe left shoulder mobility. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And does that affect your daily life as well?
to an extent. I mean, I'm right. Or like.
Yeah, you're right-handed.
Yeah, so I try not to use it, but I know that I could probably incorporate some kind of movement.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just from a previous like injury
Okay.
on my shoulder, and yeah, I think the whole additional stiffness is just from no movement at all,
Yeah,
and I feel like we could probably work on that too with the whole routine.
absolutely. Okay. Okay, and so moving into your medications, I see you're on quite a few.
Yeah.
And it is one of your goals to kind of get off some of your
Yes, for
medications?
sure,
Okay.
I feel like that may also play a part in what I'm feeling, the kind of symptoms. that are
Absolutely,
coming up.
yeah.
So yeah, I know that there's a lot, and yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
want to minimize that.
Yeah, I was reviewing your medications, and there are some side effects to these. And I know you mentioned being like tired and fatigued, and so that's definitely a side effect to some of them. So if we can kind of get some of your conditions a little more under control with diet and exercise, that would definitely get you the ability to be able to get off some of your medications, and maybe that will even help with some of your side effects and symptoms. Okay, and so moving on into your family medical history, do you know if your family has a history of any heart problems?
I can't remember, but I know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think it might be in like some notes in the for my PCP. but
Okay.
I'm not really
Yeah.
remembering.
I just know that's okay. I just wasn't sure if you knew off the top of your head if like high blood pressure or heart disease or anything like that, but I can definitely go back
Yeah.
and check.
Yeah, I think hypertension does run in the family, as well as diabetes. But I think, yeah, I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
Okay, and I do know from an ethnicity standpoint, Native Americans do tend to have a higher prevalence of diabetes, and so we can definitely help you get some resources to kind of get that under control. Yeah, and then what about a history of cancer? Anything there?
Yes. I can't remember the type of cancer, but that definitely does run on both sides of my family.
Okay.
It does seem that you may be malnourished. Do you think that's possible?
Okay, and then I also noticed that you are on a medication for depression, but I didn't see it in your chart that you mentioned having depression. So is that something you struggle with?
No, I just kind of like, if my doctor gives me medication, I just take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't really question it.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Yeah, so your Celexa, that one in particular that you're on, that's used to treat depression. So I saw that, but then I didn't see it in your chart that you mentioned feeling symptoms of depression, or if that was maybe a cause of like not like being as active anymore. So yeah, so that's definitely good to note that that's not something you're currently struggling with. So maybe that's one that next time you go to your doctor, you can make a note and ask him maybe why he prescribed this to you. Because yeah, that's definitely a medication you can get rid of, and it wouldn't like drastically affect your health, especially especially if you're not feeling like you're depressed. So yeah, that's definitely one. Okay, and then you did mention a history of diabetes in your family. Okay.
And then throughout the day,
Okay.
do you ever feel hungry? Or like when do you feel the hungriest?
Okay, and then I also saw another medication. I saw that you were on a medication to treat GERD, so kind of like a reflux. Is that something you struggle with, or that you notice on a day-to-day, like?
Do you drink water?
No, not.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay, so you don't notice even with like certain foods that maybe you get maybe a little more reflux or anything?
I think with maybe more like acidic foods. So I guess so. I just haven't really thought about it, but
Yeah, okay. So that one, let's see, what is that medication? Nexium. So that one in particular is used to treat GERD. But if that's not something you felt like you've like struggled with or need treatment for, then that one, as well as the Celexa, can be brought up to your doctor and kind of reevaluated.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's a couple right there. So that's a good start. Okay. And then as far as your chronic bronchitis, do you feel like your COPD is making it difficult to do daily activities?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like eating too. I think that's where my loss of appetite
Mhm.
has gone. So that's why I haven't really been eating much, and that may account for the weight loss that
Yeah.
I've been seeing recently, which is not intentional at all. I
Yeah.
think just,
Going into like your culture.
it's just from just my not my my willingness to eat.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
If you know of any.
Have you ever gone to any rehab facility or just to kind of treat your chronic bronchitis?
No, I just don't think I have the money for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand that.
Yeah, so that hasn't really been an option. But I mean, if you are aware or know of any programs, then I would love to hear that.
Yeah,
Or
we
any
can
community
definitely cover that too. Do you feel like your bronchitis makes it difficult to also do things like walking and
Yeah,
paired
that's-
with your kind of intermittent claudication and stuff?
Yeah. That's why I haven't really been doing much activity lately. It's just kind of
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, that 1000%. I could completely understand that. Yeah, if you like can't breathe, you're not gonna want to go
Yeah.
out and like do more activities.
Mhm.
So with kind of it being difficult, does it kind of scare you at all, or make you feel like you're like gonna completely lose your breath at all when it comes to like being active? Like, do you feel like you have any fear with that?
That's why I haven't really been doing anything, because I do have that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so, working on, that's like kind of like what my goal would be, is just to get more active and trying to work around that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, or any breathing exercises that you have that I could do that'll kind of strengthen
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah, because I can definitely understand like if you were afraid to kind of overdo it. Yeah, that would make me not want to do anything too strenuous either. And then I saw that you were prescribed an inhaler. Are there certain times of the day that you feel you need it more than others?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think like in the afternoon. It'll kind of vary like throughout the day, depending on like what I'll do around the house. I'll do like some things, like I'll clean the house some days.
Yeah.
So really like kind of like during the daylight.
Yeah,
Really.
so if like what I'm hearing is like if you're doing kind of activities that require you to be a little bit more active, like even if it is just cleaning around the house, then you feel like you are gonna need a little bit more. Okay. Okay. And then with your diabetes, I know you said you haven't had a lot of education yet. Do you ever check your blood sugar throughout the day?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure too, like with insurance, like how many like times a day your insurance would cover the supplies to kind of do that. But we can definitely go over that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Okay. And so now kind of doing a nutrition review. So I know you gave me a 24-hour food recall. And so just kind of doing a brief overview of that. You do have coffee in the morning, and you're not quite hungry for breakfast, and so you don't eat until about lunchtime, and that's usually less than 1 whole can of soup, and then you'll also pair it with maybe some butter bread, and then not a whole lot of water throughout the day, because you're not reporting to be very thirsty, and then you did note that for dinner it usually consists of foods that the kids like, so mac and cheese, frozen pizzas, chicken nuggets, that kind of stuff that kids typically like. And then you've just noted having kind of a decreased appetite for a while now. And then you also just now mentioned that you do try and incorporate a couple cans of vegetables throughout the week. Yeah, so that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
So as far as breakfast goes, have you ever been someone who eats breakfast? Was that usually something you kind of incorporate into your diet?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would have something small.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be like butter and toast, and like some type of fruit in the morning. But now it's just, well, it used to be 1 cup of coffee. And
Yeah.
then I would have that.
Yeah.
But now it's just like 2 cups of coffee. And I'm just not that.
Okay.
hungry.
Excuse me. So with coffee, it can be an appetite suppressant. So I'm curious to see if you kind of eat a little something before having coffee, if that changes anything. Because I definitely know, like, if I have coffee first thing in the morning before I eat breakfast, I'm not hungry for breakfast, and so yeah, I won't be eating anything until like lunchtime. Yeah. And then around lunch, I know it is a pretty small portion that you're eating. Is that because you're still not very hungry?
Yeah, I just don't have the appetite for it, so I will share the soup with my wife. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And then I noticed you had wrote down too with drinking water that you're just not very thirsty. Do you think like carrying around a water bottle with you would kind of help you, like, cue you to drink more throughout the day?
So, yeah.
Okay, because are you drinking like only like if you sit down with a cup, that's when you'll drink, as opposed to like having water with you throughout the day?
Oh, like having it with a
Yeah,
meal?
yeah. Is
Rather
that
than
kind of when you're
carrying
getting it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll usually have it like a glass with my meals, like an 8-ounce glass with my meals.
Okay.
But yeah, I won't actively be drinking water
Okay.
throughout the day.
Yeah, I know it can be kind of hard to kind of force yourself to drink water, especially if you're not feeling very thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I completely understand that. And then I noticed with the vegetables you try to include, what type of vegetables do you guys typically have in the house? Like, what kind of canned vegetables do you typically
We'll
have?
do like green beans. We'll have some corn and like those or it's like a medley. It's like carrots and peas.
Okay.
And another vegetable I can't remember. But
Okay.
that's kind of like the staple
Okay.
pantry.
No, got it for sure. Okay, so I'm curious to know, like, from your perspective, what type of foods do you love, or did you used to love, things like that?
Good question. I really did like salads, sandwiches, burgers, and then now it's just kind of like I've been eating more like of those like easy to cook or like already prepared meals or something I can just throw in the oven, especially since that's like what the kids like. But also like mac and cheese and stuff. I just find that even with my COPD, like it's just easier to eat, and I'm just not like out of breath and so like any like type of fatty food I'll just reach for it because it just seems to
yeah, so what I'm hearing, like, because
easier.
you're having difficulty with your energy and stuff, it just feels easier to eat kind of more ready-made meals, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used to eat like a decent amount of vegetables before, but yeah, now it's just I haven't really had the motivation to do that.
Okay, and that's completely understandable if you're, struggling with being fatigued all day long. That would be difficult to kind of make a full-fledged meal. Yeah. Did you used to like to cook? Was that something you enjoyed?
Yeah, for sure. And then I think ever since like our grandchildren came to live with us, they've always wanted like certain foods, and
Absolutely.
gotta keep the kids happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
kind
it's
of
easier
been-
to just get them what they want. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of nibble off of
Mhm.
whatever they have.
Focus on diet is kind of at the top of my list.
Okay.
So avoiding high sugar.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, because based on some of your
Also, I forgot to mention if you have any
symptoms of
questions,
feeling like
feel free to
fatigued and maybe sometimes nauseous, are you taking your medication with food?
So do you know what?
Not intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just kind of take it like in the morning. I'll take it in the morning, and like kind of like in the middle of the day. It'll just be whenever I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed because
It does
especially like the, what is it called? Let me look up here. Oh, the prednisone. That can definitely make you feel nauseous and kind of affect your appetite too if you take that on an empty stomach. And so I would definitely recommend with medications making sure you have a little something to eat, just so you're preventing some of those signs and symptoms from happening.
I did not know that. So I
Mhm.
usually have some of my medications in the morning. So
Yeah.
that may be why. I'm
Yeah,
not
that can
feeling so well.
definitely be affecting your
Yeah.
appetite and kind of how you're feeling throughout the day. So yeah.
Oh, and in addition to the coffee, so
Yeah.
it's the double.
Mhm. For sure. And I'm a coffee drinker. I'll drink it all day. But yeah, I definitely have to remind myself to eat something before because yeah, it will mess with my appetite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also in grains too.
Okay. And then you already mentioned your chronic bronchitis does prevent you from eating more, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So the reason I say to avoid these is because
Okay, and then do you take multivitamin at all?
I do with all of the other medications that I do take.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I wasn't sure. It wasn't listed, but I thought I'd ask
Yeah.
anyways.
really low energy levels
Okay.
because your blood sugar will spike and then it'll go way down.
And then you also mentioned kind of wanting to get back to a more traditional lifestyle, especially with like the kinds of foods you eat. So was that something you used to kind of incorporate more into your diet, like more hunting, fishing, and those kinds of things?
Yeah, my diet before used to be pretty close to what a traditional diet would look like.
Mm-hmm.
What foods can help support your blood
So
sugar?
yeah, like hunting, all that stuff, and more like getting in like fish and like elk and all that stuff.
A good balance between protein, fat,
But yeah,
and
ever
carbohydrates.
since money's tight right now,
Mm-hmm.
so
And I can completely understand that. Yeah.
all of like the produce and stuff too. Just
Yeah.
getting in
Fish
it that way.
Absolutely. And then I figured I'd ask too, are the kids very familiar with like the traditional lifestyle? Were they ever kind of immersed in any of that?
And so
Not at all. We haven't really
some really good
taught them
foods,
much.
could be berries like you mentioned earlier.
Because yeah, that would make it a little more difficult to kind of incorporate more traditional
Yeah,
foods if they're only
exactly.
used to eating like
Yeah,
one way and not
exactly.
have a whole lot of exposure
Yeah.
eating kind of more traditional
Yeah, and
foods.
I do the meal prep where like I'll just pop it in the oven or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I pretty much do that for the household.
Okay.
So I
Other nuts and seeds too.
maybe incorporating like slowly incorporating like some other
And
stuff,
full-fat
Yeah.
and then giving them that option to choose
That's
whatever they want to eat. But
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're lactose intolerant, obviously, dairy
Okay, let me get
make things a little bit worse. And also any animal.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, have you ever tried any diets in the past?
have I tried any diet?
It will be better meat options than.
Not really. I've just
Okay.
pretty much been eating
Another idea is
whatever I can get.
foods in just a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't really done.
Olive oil has a lot of.
And-
Okay, and so there's not anything you've changed in your diet for any conditions either than like, oh, I'm gonna eat like
Better
More
Not
of this kind of- okay,
intentionally,
okay.
No. You're the first dietitian I've seen, So,
Oh, interesting.
Just make sure you're not
or
eating too much all the time. Okay. Do you have any questions about the first little bit?
Okay.
So now I'm going to talk.
Okay, and then going into physical activity, you did mention that you used to walk 1 to 2 miles a day. When did you stop doing that?
before
You know,
summer, this
steaks
past
or
summer.
chicken
Okay.
or
Yeah.
goods in the stores that don't have preservatives.
And is that kind of just because of all the things that have kind of accumulated, like your chronic bronchitis, your intermittent claudication, those kinds of things? Okay.
Yeah.
And what that means is that they have a lot of vitamins and minerals.
Okay. And then, does your shoulder pain ever prevent you from being more active? Like, are you like, oh, I'm not gonna go fishing because like anything like that? Have you noticed?
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
That's a good point. I haven't really thought about it, but I think it's just because like I'm afraid of like hurting it.
Further
or
injury, yeah.
It's also kind of like just so like stiff that I just, it's kind
Mhm.
of painful to move it too. So I just feel like I should probably start, doing some exercises.
No, absolutely,
Or
yeah.
working some of that movement in. And I know that's definitely something that you can help me with.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just with like the shoulder pain, it being so stiff just kind of limits your mobility.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Fat, and
Okay.
also having fruits, vegetables, or breads with fat or protein. This can help with.
Okay, and then I know we kind of covered your intermittent claudication, but do you think had you not had that pain, would your lifestyle change? Would there be a drastic change there?
That could mean that your
I
blood
definitely
sugar
think so.
spike.
I think
Mhm.
I
And
would
then
be able
maybe like an
to
hour or 2 hours after eating, you might have
like walk like I used to, and
which can
because I can't stay on my feet that long before
Mhm.
it starts to get a little painful. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. I think if I didn't have that, then I would definitely be able to
No.
be more active.
I completely understand that. So besides the walking, was there any activities beforehand that you enjoyed doing?
because chicken nuggets in the pizza.
Yeah, I would like,
They have
I would go fishing with my friends, but that was like
they have
many years ago.
Yeah.
which is found in like.
But yeah, it
fruits
was
and
strictly
vegetables.
just walking,
Mhm.
Those things
and
also
kind of playing with the kids a little bit
blood sugar levels.
when they were much younger,
Yeah.
or one of them was much
I also
younger.
Yeah.
And
drinking lots of water
yeah, just now I just can't really
and
do
not too much. Just
and
try
enjoy
to
it.
keep up
Yeah,
with
absolutely. Is that something you would kind of want to get back to if those are things that we could work on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
And I
is
feel
really
like
fun.
also with the fishing, it would help me get
Loosen up
more in touch
the mucus that's in your
with the culture and
Yeah, because
the
it's
cultural
definitely,
lifestyle.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Especially the area you live. There's lots of places to go fishing, and yeah, you're right. It would kind of bring you back to more traditional lifestyle, and then you could eat the fish, and that would be also in line with traditional diet. So yeah, there's a lot of good things there.
Yeah, and I could definitely involve the kids in there too, and I could teach them a little more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Okay.
Maybe helpful
So far we've gone over your personal history, little health history, family medical history, and your food intake and physical activity. Do you have any questions for me so far?
No.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next section. And so in your questionnaire and your chart, you did note that you are 175 pounds currently, but that you have been losing weight. So before you started unintentionally losing weight, what was your like usual body weight, would you say?
Before I started losing weight,
Yeah.
I would say 210.
Okay. And that was kind of your average weight for your adult years.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Say about that is
Okay.
like having sugar and also the
So moving on to the intervention. So based on kind of what I heard, I'm suspecting you're dealing with a little bit of malnutrition just given the fact that you're not very hungry, haven't been eating a whole lot, and then you also mentioned your fruit and vegetable intake is not as high as you would like, so that's kind of low there. And so I would suspect you are someone who has malnutrition. And so this specifically would be my first kind of area to get your nutrition up for. And so for this, I would encourage you to eat more regularly throughout the day. So like we mentioned with the coffee, try to have your coffee after breakfast and see maybe even if it's like a little bit at a time until you build up to like a bigger meal. But even if you have like a yogurt with granola, like things like that before you have your coffee, that'll kind of help boost your caloric intake throughout the day. Because yeah, again, coffee can affect your appetite and make you kind of not be hungry. So, and then I also would encourage you to kind of incorporate maybe some snacks throughout the day, especially just because you mentioned not having that big of an appetite, and so it can be kind of difficult to force yourself to sit down and eat a big meal. And so for that, I would be encouraging you to have something like a cheese stick or a granola bar in between breakfast and lunch, and then having another snack between lunch and dinner. So that can even be like some carrots and hummus or an apple and peanut butter, just things like that to kind of help boost your calories throughout the day without forcing yourself to eat like big meals. So that will also help. And let's see.
So like incorporating those snacks along with the meals?
Yeah,
or like as
yeah.
replacement? Oh, okay.
No, definitely. It's gonna take a while probably to kind of incorporate these things just because it's not a part of your usual schedule. It's not an amount you're typically used to eating, and so it will take kind of a while to kind of get used to. But yeah, definitely. I would like for you to start incorporating something for breakfast that will help with your malnutrition, and then maybe even incorporating snacks. And then because your calorie intake is kind of on the lower end, finding ways to kind of beef up the meals that you are eating. And so for this, it could be like if you are having a yogurt, maybe add granola and berries into it, things like that. Or if you're able to add like a gravy with something, those kinds of things will like it's such a subtle change, but it is something that will kind of help to add more calories throughout the day. Okay, so any questions with that?
No, but I'd love to hear more of those recipes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so moving on to a little bit of intervention for your diabetes. I know you mentioned not getting a whole lot of education with this, and so kind of after we kind of get your malnutrition, kind of getting you a little more kcals and nutrients into your system, I think a good next step would be to kind of help manage your diabetes. So I know we talked about with malnutrition, eating a little bit more throughout the day. So this conveniently also is in line with having type 2 diabetes. And so I encourage you to try to eat more regularly throughout the day, because eating more regularly throughout the day will help to kind of manage and keep your blood sugar at a little more consistent level, as opposed to like not eating for the first half of the day and then eating the second half of the day. Like that's going to cause a little bit more like spikes and dips. And then if at all possible, I know this kind of also insurance has an effect on this, but if at all possible, I would also recommend testing your blood sugar throughout the day, just making sure that it is kind of at good levels, and that way you can like, oh, my blood sugar is low, let me have a quick snack to kind of combat that. So yeah, because that will definitely help. And then kind of a more positive note to type 2 diabetes is that it can be controlled with lifestyle. And so definitely kind of dietary changes can have an effect, but then also being a little more active can also have a positive effect on the way your body handles blood sugar. And so just the more active you get, and that will take time, just the more active you get, the better your body will get at regulating your blood sugar. So that's definitely a good thing to work on. And then another way to help manage your diabetes without getting too technical is using something we call a diabetes plate. And so what this is kind of, it's a food model for what your plate should ideally look like at meal times. I know, like, with income and things like that, it's not always realistic to expect yourself to be able to have your plate look like this, but what it is having your plate, half of it be vegetables, so whatever that is. It could be a mix of vegetables or one kind of vegetable, whatever works for you and what you like. But yeah, so half your plate is going to be vegetables, and then 1/4 of your plate could be protein, so something like salmon or chicken, preferably a leaner protein, and then another 1/4 should be a carb, and that can be something like noodles, rice, preferably a whole grain, but things like that. So another 1/4 should be a carb, and then if you have water or a lower calorie drink to go with it, that kind of is like the cap to that. So yeah, so I strongly encourage you to kind of start to incorporate the diabetes plate, because it is a good food model to see like kind of the proper portions of what you should be eating to kind of help better manage your diabetes. But again, it's not so technical that you're having to like count all the details of what's in what. Yeah, so that's definitely a good place to start.
Yeah, that'll be like, if you're able to print out that plate, I'd love to, like, I'll probably just put it on my fridge or something.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to remember.
It's
right
a lot.
now,
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next time you come in, I can definitely have some materials ready for you to take home. And did you have any questions with anything I've gone over so far?
No, yeah. That's
Okay.
A lot of great information.
Yeah, okay, then we're going to keep chugging along. So there's a lot here. So also I want to touch on your hypertension, just because this is an area where if we kind of make some dietary adjustments, then you can get off your medication for it. And I know that was one of your goals. And so with hypertension, an easy thing to focus on would be your sodium intake. And so with hypertension, lowering your sodium intake will help reduce your condition. And so for this, it might be helpful to follow the DASH diet. And the standard DASH diet limits sodium intake to 2,300 milligrams a day. And then an even lower sodium focused DASH diet option limits sodium to 1,500 milligrams a day, but that might be a little more difficult to achieve. But in general, the DASH diet, I personally like it a lot. It focuses on your fruit and vegetable intake, and so having 4 to 5 servings a day, which again, right off the gate, that's not going to be realistic. We're going to have to take time to kind of adjust your diet to see what works for you guys. But yeah, it focuses on just vegetable intake and fruit intake, same thing, 4 to 5 servings a day. And then it also focuses on whole grains, so 6 to 8 servings of this. And whole grains would be something like long grain rice, as opposed to like regular pasta or like regular white bread, things like that. And then the DASH diet also has an emphasis on low-fat dairy options, but for this particularly right now, I'd rather have you not focus on things like low-fat, just because again, I want to focus on your malnutrition, and so kind of more calories is better at this point. But then it also focuses on lean protein sources, which I also talked about with diabetes, and so something like salmon or chicken would be a great option for you. And then something I wanted to touch on, just so you're aware, so I know you mentioned having canned soup for lunch. This is fine. If you're able to make a change from regular soup to maybe like a lower sodium or no sodium soup, that can be a slight change that would help reduce your sodium intake as well. And so yeah, I'm not gonna say like, oh, no more soup, or like, especially if that's something you're used to, that's something you like. So that's definitely like going for lower sodium options. That will definitely help kind of reduce that there. And then just because you guys do kind of the more ready to make meals or ready to eat meals with like the kids, things like chicken nuggets and those things. Those processed foods typically are a little bit higher in sodium as well. And so maybe a couple times a week, pairing it with a fruit or a vegetable, that will also help. And then kind of changing up your portion. So maybe still having the chicken nuggets, but then maybe having a salad on the side to go with it. So that will also help to lower your hypertension. Did you have any questions with that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So moving on. So with your cholesterol, so I did see in your chart that you did have high cholesterol, which is fine. We can definitely work on that. And then same thing. This is an area where kind of changing up your diet can help you get off medications for this as well. So which is great. And so with cholesterol, we want to aim for reducing our saturated fats, which are typically found in things like red meats and full dairy products, as well as butter and fried foods. Instead, we want to focus on healthy fats and increase our fiber intake. So including more fruits and vegetables, again, that's kind of like the mantra for today. Increasing fruits and vegetables, and because we want to reduce your unintentional weight loss, I think focusing on fiber as opposed to cutting out certain food groups is a good place to start. And so again, fruits and vegetables typically are a better source of fiber, but then also things like lentils, popcorn, which can also be a great snack, as well as dried fruits. Those are also going to be a good source. So focusing on increasing fiber intake will kind of help with that. And then that's what I had for your nutrition education. Was there any questions you had for anything?
No.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to move right along into my exercise intervention. And so again, monitoring your blood sugar levels throughout exercise is just a better way to help you manage it. But I also noticed that because you are on a beta blocker, when it comes to exercise and kind of monitoring your heart rate, it might not be the most accurate, and so using what we call an RPE scale would be better. And so I can definitely print you out a handout of what that looks like. And then even because you have COPD, the dyspnea scale would also be a good way to kind of monitor kind of your difficulty level and where you're at with exercise. So what's different about this one is it's just a little bit different than the RPE scale. So a 0 to 2 would be light or slight shortness of breath. A 3 to 6 would be strained breathing. And then 7 to 10 would be kind of more severe difficulty breathing. But a good place I wanted to start with exercise for you would be your intermittent claudication. And so the best way to help treat this would be to simply walk, which I know it's painful, but it's also the flip side of that. It's nice that it's fixable without like crazy medication or surgery. So it's something that you can do to kind of help make it better. And so for this, we want you to walk until you feel pain. And then once you feel pain, sit down and take a break. And then once that pain goes away, you can begin to walk again. And it is safe to do. And so, what I would recommend for you would be to start walking maybe 15 to 30 minutes a couple times a week. And then your tolerability will for sure go up. You'd be surprised, even though you're like, I'm struggling, I'm in pain. It's amazing. You'll notice a difference. You'll be able to walk longer and longer. So as you progress for walking, this type of exercise also will help you with your chronic bronchitis. So again, interestingly enough, having yourself struggle a little bit through some of these exercises will actually help increase your capacity to walk, as well as ease of breathing. And so aerobic exercise, such as walking, is a great way to help treat COPD because the body becomes more efficient when it comes to oxygen use. And so this way, breathing becomes a little bit easier. And it takes some time to build up, but when you eventually get to the point where you're like, I can walk 45 minutes no problem, we can start to incorporate a little bit of jogging and things like that. But back to your intermittent claudication, we want to be building up to about 45 minutes plus of walking, but for now, I think 15 or so minutes is a good place to start.
Per day?
Yes.
Okay.
So however many days you feel comfortable starting with, but we eventually want to be building up to 5 days a week,
Okay.
45
Yeah,
minutes plus.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's long term. But yeah, to begin with, that's a good place to start.
Mhm.
And then another thing I wanted to mention was chair exercise. So because, again, you're struggling with your intermittent claudication, your COPD, as well as shoulder and back pain, I think a good place to start with exercising would be chair exercises. And so you can do this sitting in front of the TV, and even to make it easier, if you just want to do 10 minutes at the beginning of the day, 10 minutes in the middle, and 10 minutes at the end of the day to kind of break it up to kind of make it more manageable, that's a good place to start too. But I can definitely print you off a handout of chair exercises. And with this, there's a great way to kind of modify as you go. And so whatever fitness level you're at, we can find something to meet you where you're at. And so as you start to get a little more familiar and a little more kind of get your tolerance up a little bit, we can add weighted things such as, you can start like curling a can of soup, and you can work your way up to like a jug of milk. So things like that, which is awesome. And so we long term want to have a goal of sorry, I lost my spot.
Okay.
Of doing aerobic exercise for 30 minutes 5 days a week, and as well as 30 minutes of resistance exercise at least 2 days a week. But again, some chair exercises with like household items would be a great way to start kind of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I don't have any equipment at home.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. That was really good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of misconception with having to exercise is that, oh, well, I don't have any equipment at home, or, oh, I don't want to go to a gym to work out. But you don't need formal equipment to kind of get any fitness in. That's what's great about exercises. You can use things from around the house to kind of get a workout in. So did you have any questions there?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we've come to the part of the session where I'm going to have you make a couple goals.
Okay.
So based on what you've heard, is there anything that stands out to you that you want to kind of get going on?
I really liked your idea of getting in some sort of breakfast in or like meal. So like maybe like just something small before my coffee, even if that's just like a muffin or
Yeah.
did you say like yogurt or
Yeah, just something, starting out with something small to eat. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a little yogurt or a granola bar. A muffin would
Yeah.
be great, yeah. And so I like that goal. That's a good place to start, especially for your malnutrition, and maybe even this will help kind of alleviate some of the symptoms you've been feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, so your goal is to add in something small to eat
For
before
breakfast
coffee.
yeah, before coffee.
Was there was there an amount, like how many times a week did you want to try to incorporate this?
To start maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. Just to start, and then eventually like every single day. But
Yeah, no, that's what's great about goals is try them out for a little bit, and if it's not working for you, we can reevaluate and adjust. So definitely, but I like this goal to start out with, especially since it kind of helps with our issue of malnutrition, as well as kind of evening out what you're eating throughout the day for your diabetes. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 to 3 times a week, and then we'll reevaluate at our next appointment.
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything you need to do to kind of remind yourself, like you need to write it down?
Probably like printing something out to put on my fridge.
Okay.
Or I'll have my wife remind me.
Okay, and then so we have that goal. Was there another goal you wanted to try?
I liked your idea of doing like chair exercises.
Okay.
I could definitely do that, especially like when I'm watching TV or something.
Yeah.
So you were saying like 10 to 15 minutes?
Yeah, we want to build up to 30 minutes, but 10 to 15 minutes is a great place to start.
Yeah. I would definitely like to do that maybe like 2 times a week. to
Okay.
start.
Perfect. What I like about this goal too is that it doesn't completely disrupt your daily living.
Yeah.
So you can still do chair exercises again while you're watching TV. So I like this goal. Okay, and then did you have any other goals you wanted to kind of get in place?
I think also the walking.
Yeah.
So just doing like the method that you were saying, like kind of walking to
Walk,
maintain
take a
and then
break,
take
walk again. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably
Was there amount of days you wanted to start with for that?
Let's do twice per week too. Something that's manageable.
Okay, and then is 15 minutes something you think you can do?
I think I can
Okay.
do that, yeah.
Okay. So for our goals, I have adding in a small breakfast before coffee 2 to 3 times a week, and then maybe printing something off and putting it on your fridge to kind of help you remind, or your wife can remind you. And then we have doing chair exercises for 10 to 15 minutes 2 times a week. And we have walking for your intermittent claudication 2 times a week for 15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we went through a lot today. Was there any questions you had for me about anything or anything I could clear anything up on?
No, not really, but I'm really excited to work with you. these
Perfect.
next few weeks.
Perfect. Yeah, and so I'll see you next week at clinic when you come in. Does that sound right? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Would it be the same time?
Yes, same
Okay.
time, same place,
Okay.
as long as that works for you.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, and then we will follow up on your goals and see where you're at with that and see if you started there. But if you don't have any other questions, then that is all I have for you today. Thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you so much.
Yeah.
Brittany.